All right, so we are in episode number 21, and today's going to be a little different just because we all have clients going on right now, so we're definitely going to be texting during out the podcast.
Negotiations.
Yeah. So it's just going to be a little bit unique, so you're going to kind of get an idea of like how lenders and realtors work and stuff. So in the real world, so like we got some crunch lines and deadlines that we're all trying to meet. So anyway, so we're on episode number 21, and we have the Fresno YPN chapter with us. So this is a really exciting one for us. We're all friends around here. So, as a matter of fact, Ani, we were in Reno last weekend, and was it last weekend? It's all blurry now.
It was last weekend.
It was last weekend. Yeah. It was like March 8th and 9th. Yeah,
we just saw the Snapchats.
Yeah.
Major FOMO.
With the little hands.
And the little hands.
The little hands. So that was a really fun trip that we had there. So we have Ani from YPN. You are the past chair
yes,
now, right?
I am the past chair.
And then we have
Yvette Chavez, current chair.
Current chair, right on. So we kind of want to get into, we're going to have a list of questions this time around. So this is going to be a little bit of a different podcast as well. So Ani, we'll start with you. What inspired you to pursue a career in real estate?
So for me, I would say it was being able to get the chance to help others out. That's what really inspired me to get into real estate. Being able to help others, as in, providing there's a lot of people that have never gone through the process of, buying a home or, selling a home. So being an advocate and being, their right shoulder, basically, to help them, guide them through the process, is what actually led me to pursue real estate. So, and just being able to be there for them is what got me into real estate. I would have to say I'm a big people person. So, and just being there, helping them, guiding them through, through the challenges, through the, the process of buying or purchasing or investing, and guiding them through those stages. And at the end, which is the most rewarding part, is handing them their keys. And seeing the smile on their faces.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
That's mine, especially when they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this to the house," or they have so much ideas.
Yes.
So that's the most rewarding part of it, and that's what I love about real estate.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I love about real estate, especially the first-time home buyers. They're like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. It's like, hey, we got your hand. We're gonna guide you all the way through the process of it. So that.
So for me, it's a little bit different because I didn't get into real estate. I think I kind of ended up here. It's I was a correctional officer before this.
Okay.
I got hurt off the job. And when I got hurt off the job, my doctor said, "I don't think you should go back to prison." I was like, yeah, pretty much.
Stay out of prison.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay out of prison. But it just wasn't safe for me or my partners, for me with a broken leg, to that's not at 100%
right,
to be put in those positions. So at that point, I had a conversation with my husband, and he's like, you should look at a different career. This was 6 years ago, so it was right before COVID happened, right before COVID.
Literally the year before COVID.
Right before COVID. But I'm the type of person that if I'm going to do something, it has to be something I can get behind. I have to be passionate about it. There has to be purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So I thought back to myself, and I bought my first house at the age of 23.
Nice.
But I lost it during the housing crash that happened.
Back in 08?
Back in 08. So I lost it because, one, I had a realtor that didn't advocate for me. I had no education on the home buying process, so I didn't know that I got into a negative arm when I bought my house. And so to me, that was a big deal. And first of all, I was the first person to buy a home in my family. And so that was a big deal. And then there was a big deal when I lost it because I felt so ashamed. I felt like just so defeated did. And I said, you know what, I don't want people to ever feel like that. And so my husband, my daughter's all like, you should get into real estate. You're really good at talking to people and advocating for folks. And so that's kind of how I got into real estate. I was just kind of pushed into it because I had a life change with my current career that I totally loved, but I was able to get into real estate and educate. That's the biggest thing for me, is educating families on what they're getting into so that they never have to feel like I felt when I lost my home because of lack of education or a realtor or a lender that did not care.
Yeah, and
Right.
I've seen this a lot in not just in the lending aspect and the real estate aspect, but there's a lot of people don't have the education when it comes to the finances. So, and this starts at a very young age. So for example, I sub on Mondays at a continuation school here in the local Merced County. So the first thing that I do is one of the first things I do when it comes to math, that's you're taking this financial mathematics class, because this is going to set you up for you might not like it, but you need to understand the process of credit cards, auto loans. You need to know everything. You need to come up with a financial savings plan,
financial literacy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's financial literacy. So my dad, thank God for my father, he was always like, you need to save for a rainy day. You need to save for a rainy day. That's awesome. It's when I hit the aspect of rock bottom, it's just this is why you save for it. And I'm glad that it's happening to you now, so that way you can learn from it. And you can only learn from when you get burned.
And that story, as devastating as it was for me to lose my home, I share it now with my clients.
Absolutely.
And they're just I see the change in their whole demeanor when I share that. I've lost a home. I'm not here because I'm better than you. I'm here because I learned some lessons, and now I want to hopefully share those lessons with you, so you don't have to learn them the way I did.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things. It's I always say that fail is an acronym. It's the first attempt is learning.
Absolutely.
So
awesome.
Even though you fail at something, that's not the end of the story. Right. It can be success at the same time. So that's one of my favorite driving points is hey, just because you failed in this one aspect doesn't mean that you can't succeed in life. So, and there's numerous of people that have gone to prison and then they've reinvented themselves in prison and then have done to make great careers in their lives.
Absolutely. So I know quite a few of those.
Yeah. Just because you hit one roadblock doesn't mean that's the end of your story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things they want to be able to relate to you, right? Mm-hmm. So if they know, this person's not portraying themselves as a perfect individual, or that I'm above you, or that type of demeanor, it makes a difference in how they feel about the person that they're working with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make in your life.
100%.
So
it's a huge connection.
Yeah, it is.
So,
all right.
Question 1.
Yeah.
17 more to go.
So with YPN, so I mean, how did you, Yvette, find yourself becoming involved with YPN? And I mean, how did you get started? What kind of sparked your interest?
So I got tagged in by actually by my previous chair here. She was our, what were you, events that year?
No, I was vice chair.
No, you were events because you asked me to be a panel speaker.
Oh, yes.
You asked me to be a panel speaker on one of the events that YPN was putting on. So at that time, I remember she DM'd me on Instagram, and she's like, hey, you want to be a speaker on we're having a panelist that was 30 under 30 or something. Yeah. I'm in my third year of real estate at that point, and I was like, me? I'm not even a young I'm not what?
Right.
You're this is only my junior year.
We don't feel young anymore.
I'm 30.
That's everybody's response.
I was 40. I had just turned 40, I think. And I was just like, what? No, me? And anyways, or 40 under 40. I don't remember what it was, but it was one of those.
5 under 5. Yeah.
See, I don't even remember what the event was, but it was such a great event. I saw YPN actually that day in a different light, and I was like, oh, okay. And then she invited me to a mixer and just kind of started getting involved with the different folks, and then I was like, okay, I really like this, and I think I was the oldest person at that point, joining in. I think I was, but I was just like, you know what? Then I think that's when we started talking about opening it up, because there's such a misconception of YPN.
Correct.
And what it is.
Such a stigma of the young professionals network.
And so we said no. At that point we started saying it's young in the business.
Yes.
It's young in the business. It's a great starting point for anyone someone coming into real estate to get started in YPN, kind of learn what real estate is all about, and then venture off to other, leadership positions or other organizations or whatnot. So it was a stepping stone, and I'm grateful for Ani for, tagging me in and, I don't know, seeing something in me that she felt I would be a good fit for YPN. So that's how I got started with YPN.
And how about you, Ani?
Oh, wow. So I got started 4 years ago. Our past chair, yes, Adriana Prado, she actually tapped me on the shoulders. So, and I sat down with her. I'm like, hey, what's YPN all about, So it was my first year into real estate and stuff. And so I'm like, what's this whole YPN about, So got to talk to her and stuff. And she told me, the benefits of it, why YPN and how to get involved and everything like that. And I just fell in love with it. So I started off as the events coordinator chair. And then after that, I went on to I was the VP, 2023, and then 2024 was the year I was chair, and now I'm past chair, and I sit at state level as vice chair. So, and I don't know, maybe there might be a chance, and we'll see what next year holds, but I have the privilege to move forward maybe to state chair and maybe considering national, so we'll see.
There you
Very
go.
cool.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So
That's
Yvette, do you have any plans to move forward at the state level, or what are your thoughts there?
I'm not quite sure at this point right now. I'm looking at possibly the CAR director. I'm looking at something with CAR, getting involved with CAR, getting involved at a local level with the board. Other than that, I also co-chair Leadership Academy in Fresno, so that's a huge thing for me, a beautiful project that I'm a part of, and so I'm not quite sure. I don't like to overcommit because I do have a full-time family, and that requires a lot of my attention. So for me, even though I work real estate full-time, it's really a part-time for me because my family's full-time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So-
Yeah.
And that's that's honestly what I love
all-
about being a lender.
Oh, yeah.
That's
We
like,
get it.
hey, I got my son's got speech therapy at 9:00 in the morning, so it's like I can't come in
No
until
other
after
place.
10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I can't do this anywhere else.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unless you're your own boss for a business, but even then, like.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's like, hey, when do you have a day off? I was like, well, technically,
I know.
don't ever have a day off, but I mean, I can freely.
Have hours
I know.
off.
I love it. I love it when people ask me. They're like, "Oh, are you off on the weekends?" No. This is
a
real
real
estate life. Like, we never take weekends off. What are you talking about?
I mean, I
it's-
might take like Sunday. It's like, hey, if you
Maybe.
call me,
Yeah.
I'm available,
Yeah.
like that type
Yeah.
of thing. And even when I'm at a birthday party, like, so I remember last year I was at my buddy's birthday party, my buddy's son's birthday party. Let me correct that. And I got a phone call. My wife's like, we're at a party. It's like, what do you want me to do? Like,
Yeah.
when
I
the
mean,
phone
we're
rings,
always
I have
on-
to answer.
There's
so.
pros and cons to it, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things we're expected to be available at all times, but then, on the flip side, we can also make ourselves unavailable if we
Yep.
need to as well. So,
Yeah. So like when I went to Mexico, that was fun. I was able to like just leave on a dime, but I still had my phone and my computer on me. If something popped up, luckily I did have some. Well, I mean, I did have something pop up, and luckily it happened when we were just in the room waiting to go do something. So I had plenty of time to take the phone call
And I
too.
think that's
so.
like the best privilege about this industry is that we can work, whenever we, have the time while we're traveling, hey, I got a phone call, let me do like an hour here or something, just working remotely and stuff. So
Absolutely. So the memes are true when they say when we're on our computer on the beach. That is true.
yes.
so it is. Yeah. It may not be in the ocean because I'm not trying to drop that in the water, but
My husband takes he has so many pictures of me like when we're on vacation, and I'm
When you're on
like,
vacation
like
with a
this, or on my
realtor.
computer, and I'm like they're so accurate. My best friends, my friends, they already know if we're on vacation, I'm probably gonna have my computer with me.
Yes.
And I'm like, forgive me, I am present. However, I'm negotiating.
Yeah, it's funny. So like,
So-
my wife will go, "Hey, you need to like just pay attention to your kids." It's like, well, hold on, I'm like texting a client right now. Like, I can't like ignore him and like. So that aspect, that kind of does like it does kind of suck because you want to be there for your family,
Yeah.
but you're also trying to negotiate a deal for the family.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, just having that communication. And I think that's like one of my, like when I first started doing it, it's like, that was like one of my faults. It's like, she's like, you need to tell me, so I need at least need to know. It's like, yeah, that is my fault. So I've been, you know, that's one of the things that I've worked on. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I got to do this work thing at this time. So
Yeah.
So-
Having a supportive family that understands.
Oh,
that,
100%.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
I think what either allows you to win in real estate or you get out of real estate.
Right.
Because it's that important to have your family supporting you and behind you, understanding your situation.
Yeah.
But also for ourselves, creating those boundaries. Because I am, the first couple years, I think I burnt out because I didn't have boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, there was no boundaries whatsoever. And it's because we're so new that we're like, I have to do
Yeah, I
this.
gotta
You're
do
just
this, I gotta do this,
hungry
yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point.
But after year 2, I did stop. I had to have a moment, and I told my husband, if I don't create these boundaries, I won't make it in real estate.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
From
Yeah.
that point on, whenever I do any kind of presentation with my clients and I'm getting hired as their realtor, I actually let them know I typically take Sundays off unless it's an emergency and the
Right.
house is, you know, the only day they're showing it is Sunday, then okay, we'll make an exception. You'll probably see my family with me while we're showing your home.
Oh yeah, I
You
take
know,
my kids too. You have to
I-
sometimes.
So I let them know actually at the interview, because when I have an interview, a consultation, I tell my clients, I'm interviewing you. You're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you.
Yeah.
We have to be a good fit for each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And if I'm not a good fit for you, that's okay. That's okay.
Right, yeah.
That is totally okay. But we need to be upfront about it. And I think as long as you're upfront about your situation, sometimes I am going to have I don't have a small child, but I have a granddaughter who I take care of. And so she's with me a lot of the times. And so I let my clients know, you know, I am my granddaughter's main babysitter, so I have to bring her along sometimes. She's been going with me to home inspections and all my events since she was born, literally.
Yeah.
And so she's well known.
So cute.
She's been at our wake
Yeah.
ups.
Yeah.
I'm like, baby girl, sit there. But she's so good.
Yeah,
she's such a
she
people
is.
person too. So
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. That's going to set her up
Yeah.
great.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
the social skills
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're giving her
She
is going to be so
she
great.
for sure has them.
Yeah.
But it's important. It's
Yeah,
important. that
I'd say a good majority of like the clients that I've gotten have been like pretty cool about it. And like you're saying, like I'm getting to the point of burnout when like I'm getting phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, all right, I think I need to set the cutoff time at like 10.
Yeah.
No more after 10. Like I you know, it's just one of those things. But I also want to be like first couple
Yeah.
years, like. So I'm at that
Yeah.
point where it's like, all right, I think I need to do a hard stop
Yeah.
at like 9:30, 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
something around the lines of
I
that.
actually went 8 to 8.
Oh.
I
Oh,
went
wow.
8 to 8.
I usually
Yeah.
tell my clients, I'm like, look, you might call me, text me, whatever, email me. Just know that I'll see your text. If I can't get to you at that time,
Yeah.
just know I've seen your text message or your phone call, and I'll get to you then maybe the next morning
Yeah.
or so,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I just let them know ahead of time as well, and just let them know, like, hey, I might not see your phone call or something, but no, I saw it. So
Yeah.
Right.
I just tell them 8 to 8. If I'm awake and I'm like, I can answer, I'll answer. But I let them know 8 to 8. So if you text me past 8, go ahead. I might
Yeah.
not respond
Yeah.
till the next morning, and I haven't had any issues since I made that switch.
I haven't
like
either.
not one.
I think for the
Everyone-
most part too, like everybody understands, like you got to stop sometime.
Yeah.
So, and if you set those boundaries for yourself and respect them, then your clients are going to respect them as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I've had no issues. I have not lost one client because of my
Yeah.
8 to 8 boundary.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, really, who really works 8 to 8? You
That's
know,
what I'm
so
like,
they're probably
I can't
most
call
clients
another
are like,
agent.
dang, really? Like 8 o'clock's late, you know? But
Oh, you'd be surprised.
oh no, I know.
The 11 o'clock text me, can we see this house? I'm like,
Yeah,
It's 11
like
o'clock.
yeah.
Yeah, let me go knock on a door and wake a family up.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't even schedule it right now.
Yeah.
I don't think the other agent would let us in right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what are you doing there?
So, Yvette, you kind of touched on this question that we're getting ready to ask, but we can kind of get, still go back into it. Did you always know that you wanted to work in real estate, or did you discover it along the way? So we kind of already touched on that a little bit with you. So go ahead.
I didn't, because I really loved law enforcement. I like that aspect. I'm very I'm very structured. I like rules. I like, all of that. And so getting into real estate was a whole different animal. There's no rules here. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? It feels like it. Yeah, swim with the sharks.
We have rules and policies we all follow.
Yes.
That. But when it comes to sales, it's different.
It's completely different. Yeah. So
and it's based on skills and developing yourself and knowing your craft. And so I had to learn a whole new animal. This is my third career change.
Oh wow.
So I was 10 years in the financial services industry. I was a broker in financial services, and I did that over 10 years. Then I went into law enforcement for a few years, got hurt off the job, and ended up in real estate. So this is my third life.
Yeah. For me, I discovered it along the way too, and I actually was going to school pre-med. So, and I knew I wanted to become a doctor and all this. And so I was going to school. I was working in retail at that time too. And I'm just like, I mean, my dad's been highly involved in real estate. So we have a few long-term hold properties and stuff like that. It's commercial. And so he brought it to my attention too. He's like, hey, if for God bid something happens to me, we have investment properties, this might be a good chance for you to also, get your real estate license. And I'm like, actually, that's, a smart idea. It'd be beneficial for me knowing as, a landlord and future landlord, and then secondly, maybe one day purchasing my own properties, and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well, I was looking back into getting my license back in 2011, but with school, on my plate and all, it was too much. So I ended up putting it aside, and then ended up having one of my dad's realtor at that time asked me, hey, we're opening up this brokerage, come join us. This is your chance now. You could get your real estate license. I'm like, actually, let's do it, So I jumped in, and then obviously I procrastinated and stuff. This was leading up to COVID. And so I think 2017, and I joined the brokerage, just managing, doing admin and stuff like that. Ended up managing the brokerage, doing transaction coordinating. So I'm like, that's perfect. I could learn the,
learn the
forms right away before, jumping into real estate too. And so ended up, COVID reopened up during that time when the state reopened up. I'm like, I need to get my license, I'm like, let's do this before they shut it down again. Right. And then God knows, when we don't know when they're going to reopen, so did it, got my, got the test done, passed. And and I really wasn't thinking I would get into real estate. So, and I was like, oh, my mind was set, like, being pre-med, going, becoming a cardiologist and all this, and nope, I'm here now.
Right. And I think that happens to a lot of people. Real estate kind of just like falls in your lap. I don't think anybody, I mean, maybe there's some, but most people, they're in college and they're like, I want to be a real estate agent, and it's like, no, I don't think that's normally, you kind of live and you learn, and sometimes it takes experiences, right? Buying your own home. It was the same for me too, purchasing my first house. I had no idea what we were signing. Yeah. We just signed documents, and then we signed our life away. Okay. But it's right. Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of one of those things that just like ends up falling in your lap, and then you're like, man, this can be as lucrative or not lucrative as you want it to be, but but it's also not for everybody.
No.
You know, and it's like,
No, it's not. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even myself, I've contemplated, like, am I really doing the right thing right now? Especially getting, like, the year that I got in 2022. So I'm like, well, this is not what I was expecting.
that
like,
was a fake real estate market in 2022. That wasn't even real. Like
well,
the people
so-
that got in, that for realtors anyways, the
Oh,
people
yeah.
that got in the market during that time, they're like really, really, they have a rude awakening right now.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like
100%.
they're like,
Yeah.
oh,
And mine was
I
the
actually
end of
have to
2022
hustle.
as well. So mine was the end of 2022. So it was
That's
already
when
like
change was happening.
that's when
already.
we start to see the dip. Like,
Right.
I didn't get my first deal until I think the following. Well, yeah, it was the following year. But
Yeah.
like everyone's like, oh, you're coming in at the worst time. It's like, well, maybe I'm not coming in at the worst time, so I can feel the struggle. So I felt the
Right.
struggle from the
Yeah.
rip. So
If you can make it during, the downtime, you can make it at
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
time
Exactly.
during this
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you came in, I think, at a great time.
no, and that's what my argument is. Like, well, you haven't made like a whole lot. I was like, well, hold on, let's think about it like this. If I can survive during the worst time, what is it going to be like during the good times?
Yeah.
And I think the
Right.
good
Yeah.
times is going to make me really open my eyes and like all that work and all the struggles that I dealt with
Yeah.
in 2022, 2023, and then finally starting to pick up in 24. Like it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And what I tell people all the time. And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, why are you going back to like lending and stuff like that? Because I started at I started working at Wells Fargo, and my goal was to be like a loan officer at that time. So I ended up not being with Wells Fargo. I went over to Travis Credit Union. Things happened with the upper ends of things where they revoked everybody's NMLS numbers, and I'm like, okay, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm getting married in 2019, so
Yeah.
it's like, I can't leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID hits, and I'm like, okay, crap. Now I really can't leave. Erica gets pregnant, so I'm like, okay, now I really can't. I gotta wait. COVID happens, brings all the worst out of people, like in the financial
Yeah.
aspect of
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I want nothing to do with financial,
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting out. Like
Right.
Yeah.
leave that, go to marketing. It was cool, just wasn't for me. So I was like, okay, let me just do home loans. That was my original goal. I linked up with Marcus Rodriguez. He's like, hey, go talk to Joe Stephanie. Talk to Joe Stephanie. I mean, the rest is history from that. So
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
with Joe since September of 22. I actually started rolling the ball in March of 22. And then, by the end of that year, I was working with Joe. So, and I've been working with Joe Stephanie
But I
since
think
then.
it's that reason that the way that you think and that
Yeah.
you're looking at it is the reason you're still here. Because
Right.
a
Yeah.
lot of folks
Basically,
that
you're right.
came on in 22, they're not here anymore.
Right.
No, yeah, because I
We've
think
lost a lot of
It
folks.
weeded out a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and I think from the lending aspect, I think it cut. I think they went from 120,000 in the nation down to 60.
I saw those numbers. I don't have them with me,
Yeah.
but I saw those
Yeah.
numbers. I think this year they were like down under 100,000.
Yeah.
Right.
For real estate agents?
For
For
lenders.
lenders?
lenders?
Yeah,
Where
lenders
it
are
was over
down.
400,000, at the peak, and then
Yeah.
now it's like under 100,000.
Yeah, it's definitely under 100,000 because I think I saw that back in 23.
Yeah,
it was
it
like
is.
I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I just need to stick it out. Like,
That's it.
like more
Yeah.
people need to leave, so it's more opportunity for me.
Yeah.
No, I don't ever want to see people fail.
Ever.
That's never
Right.
what I want to think.
It's
But
a mindset, though.
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
is. It's like, hey, you know what? They didn't want it as bad. So,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. And I think I attest a lot of this to sports. Like,
Well, to be in this industry, you have to love it.
Yeah.
If you don't love it, then I mean you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
Because it's like an emotional roller coaster.
Oh my
for
gosh.
us too.
Every day you want to quit.
Yeah. It's like yeah.
it's like, man, they still didn't go through.
Yeah.
They're going with a different lender. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like yes, I'm employed. Shoot it closed. Now I'm
I showed
unemployed.
90 houses.
You know, it's like
they're gonna wait.
yeah.
Those
yes.
aren't that easy, you know.
No, not
we
right now.
Yeah, so we go, as you guys said, we go up and down. It's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah,
with
selling
real
sunset
estate.
is not
It's
real.
not
It is
real.
not real.
It's not real.
No.
That's what I tell everyone. They ask me for advice, maybe if they want to come into real estate. And I had a friend actually ask me this, a lifelong friend from since we were little, and he's like, hey, he's in the banking industry, and he's like, hey, I'm considering to get into real estate. What's your? I go, first and foremost, it's not selling sunsets.
Right.
We don't drive those fancy cars.
No.
We don't, it's
Unless
not that
we rent
easy.
them.
It's not that easy, So don't think you're walking in and thinking it's going to be so easy, It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
you
walking
guys
in
don't
on
see,
sunshine.
yeah. I go, you guys don't see the back end of what happens, on these deals, and
Yeah,
sometimes
you got to scare them before you encourage them, because
Yes.
if they can't handle that, then they're
Yeah,
not going to be able to handle
absolutely.
real
I
estate.
think most people see the highlight reels of the social media.
They see the
Oh.
pretty,
Yes.
They
right?
see,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
see the
and the
we're
glam
handing
and the
keys,
yeah.
we're popping
Yes.
this bottles. And they see
Yeah.
that part. They don't see the part where the tears came in. Like the emotional. We had to
Yeah.
convince our clients to get off the cliff.
Yeah.
It's okay, come back.
Yeah.
You'll
Or
be
a
all
deal
right.
fell through,
or a deal
or-
fell through,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
someone lost money because whatever reason. It just,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah, and it's like I remember this happened a couple weeks ago too, and I'm like, F, like this didn't go through like I wanted to. I'm getting a phone call from my next lead. Okay, how can I help you?
Yes.
It's
You
a
gotta
flip
turn
of
your-
the switch.
yeah.
My wife just saw me go from like really pissed off, angry, and it's like I can't believe this is happening right now, and
Yeah.
I'm damn it, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
But it takes
on a
yes,
dime.
it takes it takes patience, number one.
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
does.
And self-control and experience, and you have to go through like, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. I should have just kept my mouth shut. You have to go through that a few more times.
Oh yeah.
Until you get to the point to where you're like, as per my last email,
It's like a roundhouse kick to the face.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
As per my last email.
Yes.
But no, I think it is just an eye opener for my wife to see like the switch just flip from like being angry to happy go lucky, and it's
Yeah.
like after I got off the phone, she's like, "Do you have Tourette's?" Like, I'm like, "No, that's
Like,
just."
honey, are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm like,
You got
I'm
it?
fine. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like I think a lot of people don't realize like you go from the angry to the sad. It's kind of
do.
like what's that movie with the emotions?
Oh my God, the Disney movie
Inside Out.
Inside Out, yeah.
and
That's like-
Inside
that's
Out too. Those are my favorite movies.
So it was like the life of Inside Out, but
Yeah.
like I've felt it like the emotions, like you go through all those emotions like within like a course of 8 hours, and
Yeah.
it's exhausting.
It is.
It's like,
It is.
yeah, it's just like flip the switch from
be.
angry to happy, and then like you got to deal with the
Yeah.
family, and it's a lot. So
Yeah.
So for the next part of this, let's talk about like some valuable lessons that you guys have learned. So Yvette, we'll start with you. What have you learned in the years of doing real estate so far? What do you feel like has been like a challenge that you had to overcome?
Okay. So the biggest challenge I think I've had to overcome is understanding where to start.
Yeah.
I think when I came into real estate, there's not really a handbook that says this is,
Right.
what you should be doing right now. It's really about controlling your own time and being, and just, so that's been the biggest challenge I've had to overcome is just where do I start? How
Right.
do I get started?
Yeah.
And putting myself in an environment that allows me to grow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Right.
And so the most valuable lesson that I've learned is relationships matter.
Yeah.
Relationships is what's really going to determine your success in this business. Yes, skills matter. Yes, you should know your forms. Yes, all those
Right.
things, but relationships matter. During 2020, during COVID, I had just started reaching out to agents and having those relationships with agents. I can tell you that I lost a deal because I didn't know an agent.
Oh yeah. It
And
makes a
I've-
difference.
And I beat 30 plus offers because I did know the agent.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
relationships matter.
They do.
I've gotten my clients into contract before the home even hits the market because relationships matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I think the biggest, most valuable lesson is if you're coming into this business, you can't look at it as a transactional business. You have to look at it as a relationship building.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure. For sure.
Absolutely. I can't, like, just to touch on that, it's just like, so if it's a real estate agent or a lender that's presenting an offer to you and you're like, I know that this real estate agent and this lender or combination of both are going to drag their feet. I don't want to drag my feet because I know that they are not going to get the deal done in a timely manner. So it's not like you're trying to be rude to the offer. It's just like, I know that this house has to get sold for your client as well.
And I'm going to clarify what I just said, because I don't ever want anyone to think like, oh, we're choosing people over offers. No, I'm saying both offers, or all offers being equal.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Who is on the other side is going to matter.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
as my client's advisor, if you're submitting an offer and I know you have a tendency to not get to the closing table,
Exactly. And that's what I mean by that.
I have to let my client know,
Right.
hey, both offers being equal, know that I do have personal insight on how this person conducts their business, and I have personal insight on how this person conducts their business.
Right.
And so both offers being equal, this is inside information that you should be aware of. What you do with that is up to you, because you ultimately make the choice as the client.
Yeah.
However, I have to let my clients know that this person has a tendency to not get to the closing table, or
Yeah.
this person, has always gotten to the closing table. I've seen them go through, challenges, and they still get to the closing table.
Oh, yeah.
Great communication, great whatever. And so that building relationships matters. And we just got into contract because on one of our deals, the agent called me. He goes, "Oh, I asked about you." And I was told, you get to the closing table. We're accepting your offer. And I was like, oh man, who did you ask? But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who you ask, because my reputation, follows me. I get
Yeah.
to the closing table, period.
Yeah, and you have to just do what's in the best interest of your client. So if you have that information, then you're looking out for them, and and of course, like, we don't have to speak personally on any individuals,
no.
but it's just, hey, this is what I've seen,
Right.
This is what I've experienced in the past,
Yeah.
and of course, what they do with that information is up to them.
And I always try to communicate that information without bashing an agent.
Oh, yeah.
without
Yeah,
bashing
absolutely.
A company, without it's never that's a bad person. It's
Right.
just,
Right.
hey, by the way, I have this information. You should take that into consideration.
Yeah.
So relationships matter.
Right. And I almost had a deal fall apart. It was out of my control. It was out of the seller's control. Like, there's a lot of aspect, and it's like, and you have to, like, to me, I was like, man, this is my reputation. Like, I'm telling people I can
That
get a deal
part.
done
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. And if it's being delayed out of my control, and everybody's control, really, it was not the real estate agent's fault. It wasn't the buyer's agent's fault. It wasn't my client, or it wasn't our client's fault. There was things outside of
Absolutely.
everybody's control, and it actually
Right.
had to do with the city. So you have to, like, hey, look, this is the city. Like, we have to make sure that we're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to have you sign the docs. Like, I can't tell you how many times the docs got submitted to title, and it's like they go to sign. It's like, hey, we can't sign right now because this didn't meet the requirements per the city. And it's just
Right.
like one of the most frustrating things.
Absolutely.
And luckily,
Yeah.
the city was able to fix whatever issues that they had, and we were able to close. Like,
See, in those cases, open communication,
Yes.
and transparency are key. And that's what, when I am having a situation that's out of all of our control,
yeah,
I step in before, and nobody has to look for me. I'm going to step in and I'm going to say, hey, we're having this issue. This is what's going on. And I'm going to let all parties involved know. And I think that transparency and that level of communication is what sets me apart from other agents at a lot of times. And that's how you have to do it to,
Right.
build your brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you, Ani? What challenges have you had to overcome when you got started in the business, and things that you have seen?
So for me, I would have to say it was obviously, as Yvette said, coming in, it was, how do we get started? We're coming into real estate, how do we get started? But then you're also thinking, oh, how am I going to brand myself? That was my biggest challenge too, starting in, coming into real estate. Obviously I've made, connections, relationships with the other agents since being in the industry a little bit longer, as managing a brokerage and stuff. But for me was the key of branding myself and separating myself from the other individuals, the other real estate agents out there. How am I gonna separate myself from the other ones out
Right.
there? Yeah. So I think that was my biggest challenge, branding, and obviously relationship is the biggest key in this industry. So,
Right.
having that. But I would say, yeah, branding yourself, you know.
Yeah, and you really have to build on your strengths too, right? Everybody has different strengths. Yeah. Some is like hosting events. Some is, you know, when they're out there doing open houses. You know, we all each have our own individual strengths that really benefit our relationships with our clients.
Yes.
You know?
Authenticity.
Right.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
I think folks can smell authentic a mile away. And,
Yeah.
You know, vice versa. And so if you're authentic, no matter how it is that you're branding yourself, it's going to work. But if you're branding yourself in an unauthentic way.
That's a difficult word.
Then I think people are going to notice that as well. People want to work with genuine people.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so whatever that is, be that.
Just be real.
Just
there.
I think that's why I like this podcast, because you get the more of like organic conversation to get the insides of people. So everybody out there knows I'm a gamer. So it's like that's what I like to do on my free time when I'm not hanging out with my family. It's like I'm gonna game. Like, and if you want to hop on with me, hit me up. Like I'll game with you. I don't mind that. So that's the connection that I get with some of my clients as well. They're like, hey, let's play some video games. Like, let's do it. Like, I'm down. I'm usually playing Call of Duty or Fortnite. Like, let's go. Like, squad up. Where are we dropping?
Well, I like to shop. So shopping for houses goes hand in hand. Let's go shopping.
See that? And I don't like shopping. So please don't drag me out. No. It becomes the house.
But that's why you're on the lending side.
Yeah, that's why I'm on the lending side.
Yeah,
I'm a numbers guy. So, and honestly, like I was like debating, hey, do I want to be on the real estate side or the lending side? And it's like, well, I'm fascinated with numbers, so it's like I'm more of a numbers
you have
guy.
to be.
Oh yeah, and it's like for some people, like, oh my god, I hate math. Like, I love math. It's like, how can I make this work? Is there something like it's puzzle pieces? Like you're putting puzzle pieces together to try and come out with the right solution.
You're working on your strength. So that's
absolutely. And oh man, there was something that you had said. Now it just went right out my head. Like, oh man, I forgot what it was. It's fine.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah, well, it'll pop up again. It's like, hey, I remember. And that happens to me all the time. So
it's okay.
So the next question that we have is, what's something you wish you had known when you started out in real estate? So we'll go with Ani first.
Ooh, I would say, oh man.
I know that's a good one, huh?
Yeah. When I started in real estate, oh man. Let's see. I would have to say, oh my gosh, that's kind of hard.
You want to go to Yvette? Yeah, we'll pass to Yvette.
I got you, girl. I got you. For me, it's I wish that I had known when I started in real estate how much your environment will affect your growth.
Yes.
That is your environment will either allow you to grow to your full potential or stunt your growth completely.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until probably almost a year into real estate, my real estate career, where the environment that I initially started in, I don't want to say anything negative. It's a great place. However, it wasn't allowing me to grow to my full potential.
Right.
When I switched environments, boom, like the blossom. I was just in the right environment in that season of my life.
Right.
And so I think, there are different seasons. So in that season where I was ready to grow and explode and do that, I needed to put myself in the correct environment. And when I put myself in that environment that was conducive to my growth, I took off at that point. Doors began to open. I had a great understanding. Like, things just started happening naturally. And so then that's when I realized, oh my gosh, folks that don't make it in this industry, it's not even that. Sometimes they think, oh, it's me. I didn't make it because I'm not good enough or whatever. No, it's you probably were just not in the right environment.
Yeah. And we see that happen all the time. Like, people switch teams, and it's like, and it's nothing against the current team that they're on. It's just not. It's trying to put a square into a circle.
Right,
it just doesn't fit. But you can still get along with that people all the time.
And it may have at one point in time, right?
Served its purpose.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we sometimes outgrow.
Correct.
Brokerages or situations that we're in,
Or
and
just that space. We just outgrow that
Yeah,
space.
and it's like a house. Like, you start off with the first house. That's like, it's
not
perfect
your
for my
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
But now my family's growing, and I need a bigger house. It's getting crammed in here. I need a flourish for that. So it's nothing against any brokers.
Nothing, because I love all the brokerages I've
absolutely.
worked for.
Same.
I still have
Yeah.
great connections with all the brokers that I've worked with, and I'm very grateful for everything that they've done for me to help me in my career. I've learned so much. Sometimes I learn what not to do. Sometimes I learn what to do.
Yeah.
You know, but nonetheless I learn. And so I'm
Right.
super grateful for my journey. But it also made me realize how important it is for someone's success to be in the right environment in order to have the success that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on like a little bit more on that. It's okay to leave the certain
It's okay.
like it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay.
It's not going to be any hard feelings because right now where I'm at, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's the most perfect spot for me at this moment. When it comes time for me to grow and expand and get bigger, maybe it is time for me to move on to a different company. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but it could pop up in the
Right.
next 5-10 years. Maybe the person that I'm working for retires and he's done and I need to go find a new team. And it's at that point, that's probably when it's going to happen is I'm going to have
Right.
to find my
Yeah.
own team when Joe decides to retire. That's what I feel like is
Yeah.
technically going to end up happening.
I think so many folks have such trouble with change.
Oh,
and
man.
and I've come to learn that change is the only constant thing.
Yeah.
It's
There-
the only thing you can
It
actually
is.
count on, that things are going to change. And so being able to pivot when things change and being okay with that pivot,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
As long as you do everything, you know, I'm not going to sneak away out of a brokerage in the middle of the night and go,
Right,
you know,
right.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
switch licenses, not have a,
Yeah.
no, I have very upfront conversations. Hey, this is, you know, it's time for me. And because I've done that, I think that's the reason why I can still have those great relationships with previous brokerages I've been a part of.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, change can be scary for everybody,
Oh,
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
But if you're uncomfortable, then you're growing.
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
comfortable all the time where you're at, you're not going to
You're not
continue to grow.
Yeah.
So, how about you, Ani?
So me, it kind of touches back at what we had discussed a little bit earlier. It's, you know, coming into this industry, it's like, it's not easy. So
No, it's not.
like, as I said, it's not, you know, selling sunset, you know, so coming into it, you think you're going to be, you know, oh, it's going to be so easy. It's going to be, you know, smooth transactions. It's not. It's really not that easy. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many transactions I've had pretty so far, knock on wood, you know, that I've had some successful transactions, smooth transactions, but there's those transactions that, you know, have gone
They really
haywire.
test
Yeah.
you being in
Oh,
real
yeah.
estate
Yes,
altogether.
it
Yeah.
has. So, and you're like, what the heck? Like,
And then when you get that smooth one, it's like,
yes. You're like, oh
Nobody
my God.
Yeah, right?
Can this happen
Is
all
this
the
too good to be true?
Can this happen all the time?
first
Right?
one that I had was the smoothest, like the first smoothest one
Yeah.
that I had. I'm like, can all my deals be
Right?
this easy?
I
Like,
know.
this would make my life so much easier.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to run into hiccups
Yeah.
every single transaction.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against like anybody.
No,
it's
yeah,
just,
it happens.
No.
It's part of it.
No. And then I think it's also, you need to learn how to be consistent too.
Right.
You know, whether you're doing your social media, you know, be consistent with that, you know, be consistent on, you know, your everyday life kind of basically, you know, just going that way, I think is what I've learned. There's times where I'm not consistent. I'm not
No,
perfect,
hey,
you
I'm-
know, so
Yeah, we're all human.
I know.
Yeah.
So there's times where
I'm right
like,
there right now with my social media. It's like I haven't posted in a while. Like I've just been posting game clips lately,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I need to get back to like talking about lending and real estate.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Oh, I remember what it was like that you had touched up on. I want to before I forget the structure. That's one of the things that I struggled with the most, and that's when I actually when I went into marketing. So there wasn't really a structure. Hey, you clock in. These are the
Right.
transactions
Right.
you got to do.
You have to
it.
be disciplined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I found out I had ADHD. It's like when it's
He's
like
all
one of the
good.
yeah no I
Just like right now, he's all squirrel.
yeah, no, pivot. I gotta remember. I remember what it was. So I struggled. Yeah. So I remember when I got into marketing with Centurion Boats. It's like, hey, this is what you're gonna have to figure out how to do, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So when it came to something like that, I struggled really bad, and that's what I mean by that. It was nothing against Centurion Boats. It was just more, I don't function that way. So when it came to like structures and stuff like that, I was like, you know what? I have to go back to what I know, which was loans, and I know how to do
Yeah.
loans, even though it's still not structure. I already know the foundation.
But it's building on your strengths.
Yeah, it's building on my strengths that I've already acquired over the years. So it's like, I got to get back to doing loans. I don't want to do any of the banking industry things, but it's like, I got to get back to that. So.
For neurodivergent folks like ourselves, we thrive in this type of industry.
Oh, yeah.
As long as we have some sort of, organizational skill to back it.
Oh, yeah.
We will thrive in this industry because that's why I didn't fit into the typical 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
I just, I get bored very easily.
Yeah, nothing's the same in this
Oh, no,
industry.
not at
Like
all.
every day is different. That's
So
the
it
same
keeps
with
me
me. Like
engaged, it keeps me engaged. Now the change constantly also kind of, because I'm AU ADHD, so I have some autism there in front of it.
Okay.
And so the tism kicks in and it's like, I don't want to change so much. But you know what? I've learned to embrace my personality and how I function within the business, and I'm still learning about myself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how to just become a better agent and person overall.
I think
Yeah.
in this industry, I found out I have ADHD too. So, I mean,
you just got to be able to multitask.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all it
that's
is,
And that's what I love to do,
Yeah.
multitasking.
So speaking of like the ADHD and the autism part of it, there's a guy on TikTok that I follow, and it's like, hey, don't forget to put your music on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like scrolling, it's like, oh shoot, that's right, let me put my music on, and then like now I
then
can
you
focus. It's weird.
Yeah.
So and one day
I'm
I
like,
had
everyone doesn't do that.
no.
I can't focus that way.
So I put my kids down for a nap. Like it was like during the week, and we had them at home, and I put whatever songs that they had on, and I just left it on, and I'm in the background seeing like the wheels on the bus go around and around. I was like, what? And then like all of a sudden, and I was like, and I look up at the TV, and I'm like, let me put some different music on that doesn't have the lyrics. So, but yeah, so
Hyper focused.
Yeah.
So, Ani, how
Coffee,
about
too.
being involved at the state level? How has that helped with like your professional growth and your personal growth, like being on YPN advisory?
Yeah, so for me, it has, I've learned to be basically organized and prepared. Especially, going into a deal, you have to be, obviously we're going into these meetings, right, with our committees, being on YPN advisory committee at state level, and as being a vice chair now, you have to be prepared and organized. So going into these meetings, I feel like even going into the meetings with our clients, or, professionally and stuff, you have to be organized. You have to be ready. You have to be, and prepared,
yeah.
So when they're ready to be like, okay, what do you think my house is worth? You need to provide, the comps, obviously the price that you're, advising them on. You just have to be prepared. I think even in this industry, just be prepared, or an organization is another key.
Right.
So, I think that's something that has helped me, with my professional career and being a part of a committee.
Right.
So,
how about you, Yvette? How has YPN helped with your personal and professional growth?
I feel like it's helped me connect with other like-minded individuals that help me elevate my own personal brand.
Right.
So by connecting me with other folks that are in the same energy, that I am, it just helps me be able to better connect. It helps me elevate my own brand because I'm learning from everyone around me, and because we're on the same path. It's like, okay, what worked for you? Okay, that didn't work for you. Okay, I'm not, it might not work
absolutely.
for me. Let me learn from your mistakes
Right.
as well. And so being in these committees with folks like that, I believe it. The reason I'm 6 years in and I feel like a little bit more advanced is because I'm learning from everyone around me.
Right.
I'm capturing everyone else's mistakes and successes or failures, and I'm learning from those, so that hopefully I don't have to go through that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I'm able to learn from others, grow in leadership in a space that promotes creativity and authenticity.
Right.
And I think that's what YPN for us, that at least that's the space that we try to create back in Fresno, is a space where everybody can come in, feel like they can be authentically themselves, whatever that means, and they're not going to be judged, they're not going to be looked down.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be accepted, and they can grow. It's a space where everyone can grow together.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's kind of how our YPN is too. I feel like, obviously everybody does have their own strengths, and so we all bring something different to the table.
Right.
And I always tell any agents, I have an open door policy. I have agents from other brokerages calling me, hey, how do I handle this situation? But just because they know that's who I am. And I think that when you have that mentality of, I'm always willing to help another agent because you may have been there and at a time or two, or you just that may be your strength and not theirs. And so, I have people that have been doing this for 30 years and they're like, how do I use AI? But because of that, it goes back to relationships,
Yep.
It does.
And so when they know that you're genuine about it and you're always willing to help people in our industry or affiliates, people see that, and they want to work with you. They want to have those transactions with you, be around you, be around like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
I think that, YPN has I definitely have seen AJ come out of his shell in the past few years. And I've told Patty this, I've told other people this. I love it because it's so cool to see people grow in their career and as a person, So
Yeah, I was I'm always reserved for like the first couple meetings that I see people. I'm like, okay, and then I start to open up, and it's more or less of I want to know them before they know me type thing. And then once I know, okay, I'm a little bit more comfortable. She sent me a meme the other day. I'm like, oh, we can send those types of memes together. I'm like, okay, we're good.
That's our ADHD, by the way. We have to observe first. Learn the patterns, and then we go, got it.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I've learned from my own mistakes. I've come in a little too hot, at a young age. And there was somebody that I saw the same things happening, and I had to tell him, I was like, hey man, I was just like you when I was your age. You need to ease into things, like a pilot coming in and doing a soft landing. That's what you need to do, that type of thing. So and that's what I've learned over the years. So it's all the failures that I've had, as a 20-year-old kid that was just gung ho going out and just going crazy. Now it's more of okay, look, I have a family, I have a wife, I have 2 kids. I need to go into things a lot easier, and that's the thing. A lot of people are the people that have known me from the years are like, oh, dude, you used to go. I'm like, dude, that's not me anymore, man.
We have to be a grown up now.
Yeah, no, I got to be a grown up. I have a mortgage.
I'm adulting.
That part sucks.
No, I mean, it's kind of weird because I see my boys and I'm like, every once in a while I'm like, I'm a father. I forget this. I forget that I have 2 boys.
Let us be adults out here.
Yeah. It's my wife's she laughs at the things you. How old are you? Gonna be 37, but I still act like I'm 12.
It's okay. We're young at heart, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
But.
Oh yeah. Next question. Let's see.
I think we could really end it with the best question. I feel like if you could go back to your first year in real estate, what advice would you give yourself?
I think all 4 of us can answer that one.
Yes.
So let's go with Yvette first.
Okay, let's see. Go back to. If I go back to my first year in real estate, what advice would I give myself? I would tell myself to give myself grace.
Yeah.
To give myself grace, to not compare myself with anyone else, and tell myself all they have is time on you. Play my own game and compete with myself. That's the only competition I have. I think a lot of times especially in such a competitive field, we look at others and we're like, well, man, they're winning, and how come I'm not? And then you start feeling defeated.
Yep.
And once you start feeling defeated, you attract more of that.
Yeah.
And so for me, energy is a big thing, and whatever I'm feeling, I attract more of that. So if I'm feeling abundant, if I'm feeling grateful, if I'm feeling at peace, then I'm going to attract more of that. If I'm, but if I'm feeling defeated, if I'm feeling like, think I'm down, negative, whatever, then you attract more of that. So telling myself, 6 years ago, just give myself grace, give myself the space to make mistakes and just learn from them, keep going. Don't compare myself. I think that would be the best thing to share with myself.
Yeah.
Starting.
Yeah. How about you, Ani?
For me, it's, be authentic. Know that this industry, you just have to be yourself, and, well, I'm laughing because we had a conversation about this, but, be authentic, be yourself, and don't give up, I know there's going to be times where, you're going to hit a rough patch, or you might, end up working with clients that maybe aren't the best fit for you and stuff like that. So it's just, don't give up, continue what you're here to do, helping others, advocating for home ownership, and just grow yourself, I would say that, just be yourself, in this industry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let me see. For me, it would be probably don't be afraid of change. Number one.
That's a good one.
And definitely the grace thing is huge, especially when you become a mom, and you're like, oh, I should be working on lead generating, but I'm home with my sick kid, and it's like, just remember your wins are not somebody else's wins, and so, and also to celebrate the small wins. I don't care if that is, I finally got my workout done today, or, you got something in contract, or, your daughter won a spelling bee or something, so it's celebrate the small wins too. And definitely don't compare yourself to others, because we're all in different seasons. We all have different priorities, and just take it easy on yourself, because we're all human.
Piggyback on that, take time for yourself too, your mind.
Don't work 18 hours a day.
No.
And
go to the gym.
It drives me nuts that people glamorize working.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Stop doing it.
Yes.
Glamorize being with your family.
Yeah.
I'm working on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
How is that a flex?
Yeah,
No.
Take
No.
some time off, go.
I want to see you with your kids, with your family. Like, I don't.
Reset yourself.
That's not attractive to me. That and
Or to
they're
your clients.
Yeah.
no. And there are agents that are like, oh yes, I worked 18 hours today, and I'm like, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I never want to be that. And if that's what it took to be successful in this industry, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
There's time where you need to reset yourself
Right.
too,
Oh,
like
100%.
for me it's like going to the gym.
And your family needs you.
Yes.
Like
So
whoever that may be.
yeah.
So,
and I can say I'm not a parent yet, but yes, I do agree. For those who are parents, your family is,
but you have nieces and nephews,
I do, yes, yeah.
So
and well, I have to be there at the birthday party. I have to be,
yeah.
I take, I'm like, those are my times with them, so, and then even myself, just having my time, just to reset my mind, my mindset, it's going to the gym, working out, getting that stress out, and just, focusing back on me. So.
Yeah. And people and family and friends, they always remember when you were there. They don't remember or care about how much money you made.
Right. Oh, 100%.
So, you just always have to keep that in your mind.
Yeah.
Like my kid could care less if I bought them the newest whatever gaming system, but they will always remember how I was there.
Yes.
You know?
I mean, I would care about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that
you would.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I told you guys this is my third career, right?
Yeah.
In my first one, where I did everything and anything to get us out of our financial situation, and I felt the best life that I could financially for my family, especially coming from a very broke, poverty state in my own childhood. And so in my 20s, I worked my butt off. I worked Mother's Day. I worked, and to me that was a flex. And now my daughter's an adult. She's a mother herself, and the only regret I ever have is not spending more time with her.
Yeah.
That is my
You'll
biggest
regret
I can't make
spending too much time with your
can't
kids
make
or
that
your
up.
family.
Yeah, and I think even Joe said that. He's like, dude, you have a family. You need to take care of your family. Your family. He said,
Right.
your family comes before work.
Yeah.
Right.
When he told me that, I was like, I know what kind of character he is, because he's like, dude, you need to go home. Dude, you've been working. He's like, go home. Like, you need to go home. You need to be with your family. So like, right when 4 o'clock comes, doesn't mean that I'm not done working.
Right.
It's now it's a little bit of like, okay, I got to go into father mode, but if I get a phone call, I know I need to take it, and it's just that communication.
Yeah.
But something that I would tell myself in the first year of like lending is, don't be afraid to ask for business, because that is, you need to build a relationship
you do.
first, then you ask for the business.
Yes.
So I was always afraid of like, hey, they're going to give me deals because I've built that relationship. No, you still have to ask.
Yep.
Like, don't even be afraid of that. So like,
Yeah.
I'm asking every one of you now, like, hey, don't hesitate to send me business, because we're going to get the deal done. So that is the one thing. It took me a little while to say, hey, go do that. And I'll give Ernie Cortez, he's like, have you been asking him for business? I was like, no, I haven't. I feel like they would just like, no, like,
You
they
have
don't-
to.
They're not obligated to give you anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you have to go out and reach for it. So
Yeah.
I think,
Closed mouths don't
agree.
get fed.
yes. And then Felix says the squeaky wheel will get the oil.
Oh, my dad
yes.
says that all the time.
like-
all the time. I'm
It's
just
like-
like, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
like, and I didn't understand that when my dad told me that, but then once Felix said it in the setting that we were in, then it made sense. So my dad told me that first, but it's like, what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? And then it's like you're always talking, but once you get the oil, like that's when it's like, hey, you've solved the problem. So
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
so it all clicked. Like everything that my dad has said, I've heard it from somebody else. It's like, oh, that's what he meant by that. So
Yeah.
it's like,
and it
goes
all
back.
goes back to building relationships
Yes.
with your
It does.
clients and your whole circle,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
a lot of
Weird.
times, I mean, if you look at my social media, I don't have a ton of real estate stuff on there. I have goofy, fun, like
yes.
this my kids.
Little hands.
My page
Yes.
is full of humor, right? But it's still staying top of mind, and people
Yes.
know what you do, that I don't
Yeah.
have to be like just sold or in
Yeah.
escrow or in contract or whatever. Because people reach out to me and they're like, they'll actually see my small hand reel, right? And then they'll send me a message and they're like, hey, what are interest rates right now on that reel?
Yeah.
I'm like, but it's not even
You're-
real
you're
estate
being
related.
Authentic.
But I'm
to your
being
peers.
myself.
Yeah.
Like, this
So-
is just like my goofy self.
Yeah.
And like, people want to know
I am.
who they're getting into a
Yeah.
huge transaction with,
Yeah.
right? So like, that's me. The small hands and
I
all.
think that's another thing that I think that's another thing, like, I want to tell, like, hey, like, if you're first getting into the business, like, don't just, like, real estate, lending,
Yeah.
escrow, like, dude, you gotta, like,
It's everything
It's
is
nice.
80-20 rule.
Yep.
yeah, 80-20.
80-20 really you, and then if that 20%, if you want to put your business aspect into it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not
All power
saying
to
don't
ya.
share that you're in escrow or you're selling
Yeah.
it. Like, no, definitely post that, but don't let that page be completely about that.
they want to know who you are.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I have 2 social media pages, but I am only on one now, which
Right.
is, which is like at
Pretty
the
much
gaming
my
lender. It's
personal.
like that's the only one that
Yeah.
I'm on, and it's linked to my Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, and I created a new Instagram and Facebook just to start with a fresh start, so that way there's no shadow banning or anything like that. I might have done some weird things and said some weird things. Like, okay, that guy's dead. Like, it's like,
With that being said, though, I do want to add, people are looking at you, though.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
you have to
100%.
be cautious of,
Oh, yeah.
what you do post. I mean, I may be, this is coming from your elder, so please listen up. It's great to show your persona, but also be mindful of the different people that are looking at your page and
Yeah.
how that may come across to some folks. So
Yeah.
that's just, you know,
Yeah. And it's kind of one of
cover.
those things like you're not going to be able to serve everybody, you know,
Absolutely
like
not.
there's
Absolutely
some
not.
people that are going to work great with you and probably not with
Yeah.
me and great with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Everybody is not going to be your client,
Yeah.
you know? And
Right.
so the families that work with me, they're fun. They have kids. They, you know, they're silly. Going back to the tiny hands, my daughter actually took one to school and she raised her hands in class and it was like hidden, you know, and her teacher like helped her plan it too so that everybody was looking at her with this little tiny hand. And she's a jokester like I am, you know, and so I can appreciate humor and, you know, that authentic part of people and because everything doesn't have to be so serious, right? I mean, it's just fun to laugh.
And I think
you
that's
know?
why like it took me a while to open up because I'm like I'm trying to be professional and then it's like I come to find out it's like these people are just like me.
No,
They're
just be real.
yeah, just-
like it's exhausting. Just like trying to. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody,
you know.
and I'm like, and then once I found out, like, don't put on this facade of like I'm hardcore business. Like, no, like,
Yes.
be yourself.
It's
like,
refreshing, honestly. Like we're not perfect, and we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And we're all goofy in our own way. You know,
enjoy
like
life. Enjoy
Yes.
life and have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that. The comment was more towards leadership.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
with IPN,
Uh-huh.
we are leaders.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
for sure.
the comment was made more towards the leadership part of
Yeah.
being, because I know folks look at us, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
it's a fun group,
Yeah.
but we're still leaders within this group.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's, so that comment was more towards that.
Yeah. No, and I get what you're saying, and I agree with it because we do have to be careful in our profession and leadership, you know, because people are watching. So,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's like, how do you want others to perceive you, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, like I made a social media post about like me slicing my finger.
oh, I know.
So I mean, it's
know.
actually starting to heal up pretty well now. So, but it was funny. So like I did you say? I made a funny post about like when I left, like after I left and they got me all patched up. I was like, I bought myself a moon pie because I was good at the doctor. I didn't cry one bit. So I just like I made a joke like in the entire time, like I was joking the entire time
Right.
after I sliced my finger, and it's
Yeah.
like most people are like, man, dude, that's real serious. I'm like, dude, if I did it to myself, it was my fault.
Right.
Like I even look back at the video of like like the second that it happened because it happened right in front of my house. And I'm running inside. My dad's like in the back, just like, okay, I'm still gonna cut this piece of drywall. And I'm
You're
like,
fine.
yeah, you're fine. So I got to take care of this, and I try to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Like,
But it goes back to authenticity. That's
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
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 Being yourself.
Yeah.
and I think I made a post of like, yep, I sliced my finger today, and this is like, I posted it yesterday, but it was like a couple days prior to that. Finally fixed whatever was going on with my cap cut, and then I posted it, and it's like, hey, look, I still game.
Yeah.
I can still game with the big old bumper on my finger. ET phone home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, post about your normal life and, you know.
Yes, and then
Be yourself.
Be yourself. I mean, obviously, be careful what you're posting and stuff, as
Yeah.
we said, but have fun with it. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So
Gotta have fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Still gotta have fun. You still gotta have personal time.
Yes.
So, you know,
Yeah.
still plan. Yeah, and this is what's great. Like, it's funny. Never off, but I can take off whenever I need to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We truly appreciate you guys
Yeah,
having
we
us
do.
Yeah,
here.
thank you so
And
much.
this was fun.
Thanks
We've
for
lear-
taking the
Of
trek all the way
course.
from
Yes,
Fresno.
yes.
You know, going down that 99 through Merced. Let me tell you, it's great.
Yeah. It's a
But
great.
this is great because it allows both YPNs to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, still going through the same things,
Yes.
facing
Yeah.
the same challenges, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it.
growing our network.
Yeah, growing our network, coming together, you know, collaborating with you guys as well, you know. So it's been a great time, you know, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we love our Fresno YPNers.
Yeah.
We've always been big supporters too.
Yeah,
So let us
absolutely.
know when your
Of
next events are, and then make sure to
Likewise.
share those.
Lunch
And
week.
Yeah.
What day?
Next Wednesday
Okay.
at 11 to 2, we have our next Lunch and Learn. We
Okay.
have a epic, and I'm not exaggerating this one bit, epic lineup of panelists.
Cool.
Okay.
We have
Awesome.
top agents and loan officers who have been in the industry 10 plus years,
Okay.
who have gone through, you know, the highs and lows,
Mm-hmm.
are still thriving, having great organizations, you know, leading great teams. And they're going to open up to us about what they're doing to thrive in times where some are not.
Yeah.
You know, how they've made it through. And And this is not a fluff, just we're going to just kind of hype you up. No, that we're going to get down and ask some questions that are going to help you grow your business and thrive in your own personal business. So you're going to walk away. I say it's a life-changing event because that day you're probably going to make the decision of whether you're going to go full force and recommit or this may not be for you. But either way, it's going to be a life-changing event.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
And if I didn't have a
Merced out there.
podcast, if I didn't have a podcast that day scheduled for that day already, I'd be like, you know what, that sounds like a good one
Be a great one.
to go do. And then I have cousins that are real estate agents out in Fresno too. So
Let them know.
Kylie Sanders and
yeah.
well, her last name is now
Yeah.
Sanders, and then Greg Wrights. That's
Yeah,
he's part
let
of my
them
family.
know.
So.
Come plug in.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
We're already over 100 folks registered.
Wow.
So we
for you.
expect to be at about 150.
Awesome.
One of the
Wow.
biggest YPN turnouts. It's that big of it. It's that meaningful.
Right.
This
right.
is not just another event. We really have poured into this event to make sure that you're going to walk away going, what? I need to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys have that coming up. Is there any other events that you guys have coming up?
For local or for state?
Oh yeah, I forget.
I'm not state now.
Local.
Yeah.
Well, let's go local first.
Local.
We have our next wake up next month.
Yes.
Next month, okay.
Second Thursday of the month, we have
Okay.
our wake up. It is a wake up. We have a DJ. We have food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a whole
Okay.
DJ
Yeah.
come and
Cool.
And DJ Bambi will be in the mix.
Okay.
And
I might be able to make that one. Next
Okay.
Wednesday is my hubby's birthday, so
Go.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to him.
So our next wake up is next month, second Thursday, 9 a.m. Press box.
all right.
Nice.
And then for state, we have Ledge Day coming up.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to Ledge Day.
I'm excited for
yeah,
that.
We're gonna have a special episode of the podcast that
perfect.
that week too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'd be
taking
great.
up all the equipment up there,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be
Fun.
it's gonna be interesting how I'm gonna set this up too, because usually it's always been here.
Yeah.
I have this nice, somewhat of a nice
Yeah,
table. We have a
yeah.
nice setup, nice background. So I'm like,
Well, I have a table that folds in half,
yeah.
and I have a mom car. So.
Oh yeah, so we'll have plenty of room over there. So.
So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ledge Day.
Yeah,
so, God willing,
We'll connect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God willing, we'll connect and we'll
Yeah.
go do the block party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Block party is always a fun one. I went to
Yeah.
I went to that last year and I was
Yeah.
like, ran into the person that did the 20-hour class for my lending license.
Yeah.
So I ran into her and I was like, hey, how's it
Yeah,
going?
you
She's
run into a lot of people at
Yeah.
the
yeah.
event. So.
yeah. She's like, it's good to see you. She's like, I remember you from that class
Yeah.
that you took. Yeah, I stood out.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have that. It's the block party. We have YPN form. We're also going to be having a YPN mixer
Yes.
as well. So Sacramento and Placerville are coming together, and they're
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're putting a mixer on. So we got that, and then we have a great panelist of speakers that will be at our YPN forum.
Awesome.
So yeah, stay tuned. It's more gonna be focused on our pack and what it is and how you guys can get involved and stuff. So
Yeah.
and what of a big difference it makes in our industry. So so yeah, it's gonna be a fun time, and that's what April 28th through May 1st.
Correct.
I believe.
Yeah. April 28th is my birthday.
Yeah. Woo! Well, we can celebrate.
Yeah,
We
we'll
have
celebrate at
our-
the block party on
Our
the
golf
29th.
tournament coming
Yeah,
up
golf
too,
tournament's
right
coming up
before
for
that.
The golf
Yes.
tournament on the 26th. That's gonna be awesome. It's just
Yeah.
down the street from my house.
Yeah.
So
It's always a fun time.
Yeah.
It's in Atwater at Rancho Del Rey. So
Yeah.
that's just
yeah.
down the street from my house.
We'll make
so
sure
I'm
you
like-
guys have the flyer too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. So
Yes.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have a mixer before that. So all the
Okay.
non-golfers, don't be afraid to show up.
Yeah.
We're still gonna have.
We'll just hop on somebody else's golf
Cart.
carts and like make the best of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last year's golf tournament that was really fun, but it was in Chowchilla. That's
It was
what
in Chowchilla. It was a little bit of a trek for us, and so I wanted to bring it back to
Yes.
our local
Yeah.
golf courses, and also obviously keep the funds local too.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
Yeah.
So it just didn't work out with our circumstances last year.
Like it was cool. It was cool, but
Yeah.
it's nicer to keep things a little bit more
Yeah.
closer to Merced County.
Yeah, and Chowchilla has a beautiful course.
That
but-
course is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is a nice course. I played on it a few times, and it's just like I just wish it was just in Merced or out.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. So,
But yeah, so
anyways,
glad it's going to be back at Rancho Del Rey this
yeah.
year.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
And we'll see y'all soon.
Yeah,
Ledge
so that's,
Day at
yeah,
least.
Ledge Day. Yeah, we'll
Ledge
see
Day.
you in
We'll
Ledge Day
see
for
you
sure.
guys there.
So that's going to conclude this episode of the podcast. So we look forward to episode 22. I believe we're going to be talking about, what is it?
Talking
The
of-
7 habits. It's something about the 7 habits. I can't think of the highly focused people. or
Highly
something.
effective people.
Highly effective
Yeah.
people. So that's
It's a
going to be
book.
next episode's podcast. It should have Hector, myself, and Patty Vasquez on that. So looking forward to that episode. And then after that, I'm not sure exactly who we have.
Peggy
and it's actually-
Sahota coming up too.
yeah, Peggy Sohoto. She's gonna be actually the next day that I do that. So it's like back-to-back days I have podcasts. So first time that I've
Let's do
I've
it.
done
Yeah.
back-to-back.
Let's
So, but we'll spread this out. Hopefully, we'll get this out on Friday, like I normally plan on doing. So, but yeah, until next time, we'll see you.
All right.
Bye.